When we started this game, we knew we wanted to break the formula that had been established, ever since the beginning Medal of Honor, all the way back in 1999. So from the very beginning, Airborne was about standing the formula of the classic World War II shooter on its head. And the main innovation, the main thing that we focused on was the idea of the Airborne, the idea that you jump out of a C-47 into combat. And from the moment you leave the jump door, you can literally choose where you land because you can go anywhere. So that one simple concept had an impact on literally all aspects of the game. And it was something that we really wanted to capture with this game, but it couldn't stop with the jump. It had to continue all the way to the point you got to the ground, because if you can steer and land anywhere, you can literally start the game anywhere, and that meant that the layout of the environment had to be much more open than anything we had ever done in the past, and completely non-linear. If you're crafting a linear level, basically you know exactly where the player is coming from, and so he hits a trigger and I'm going to make that enemy jump out, and this plane is going to crash, and that big event is going to happen, and there's this tableau that sort of plays out in front of the player. It's kind of like a dark ride at Disneyland. But in this game, all of a sudden we don't know where the player's coming from. He's coming from, he could be coming from a door, he could be coming from a window, he could be coming from the sky, for all we know. And so we really had to adapt our design style to synthesize encounters for the player, no matter where he was coming from. And we did that with a new AI system and quite a different system for how we were handling scripted events. Beyond that, one of the innovations I'm really proud of is the weapon upgrade system. Not many people know that every World War II weapon in existence was not the same as every other weapon. So, the soldiers had a variety of upgrades, field modifications, and customizations that they could apply to their weapons, and were in common use during World War II. So, absence of a linear kind of way of measuring your progression through the level, having a weapon that upgrades and that gets boosted as you play the game is a great way to kind of create compulsion loops and rewards for the player as they succeed in the game. When we started multiplayer on this game, the thing that we really focused on was a lot of sort of great memories of Allied Assault multiplayer, which was this kind of very accessible, rowdy, easy to get into, have fun, really nailed the fundamentals infantry style of multiplayer game. And so we started there as a baseline and as a core focus of the product. And then we basically added the airdrop to it. And just as the airdrop had a huge impact on the single player game, it had a big impact on the multiplayer game, because we found ourselves designing multiplayer maps that weren't laid out flat, that weren't, in essence, two-dimensional maps. Instead, we were building 2, 3, sometimes 4 stories of geometry, because the Allies are dropping from the sky and they can land anywhere. And so it really changed the multiplayer battlefields from these kind of flat environments to these multi-level vertical environments, and radically changed the layout of the play space. One of the big focuses of the multiplayer was developing a more personalized experience. So not a big kind of chaotic free-for-all, but instead, a match where you can sort of get to know your enemy and get to and develop sort of a nemesis relationship with individual other players. And so trying to get to, like we had with Allied Assault, a more personal type of multiplayer. So we support 12 players, so 6-on-6 in sort of team deathmatch, and then sort of free-for-all deathmatch. And the environments are really tuned to accommodate that, so it's easy to get a full match really quickly. There's always going to be matches available, and you're never going to be hunting for people. You're always going to be sort of in the action. If you've played any Medal of Honor before, I would say that the list of things that are different about this Medal of Honor is probably longer than the list of things that are the same. We're still in World War II. Many of the weapons are going to be familiar, although we've really refined the weapon experience in this game, and I think reached a much higher degree of fidelity than any of our previous products have. But the spirit of Medal of Honor is still there, in spite of the innovations that have really taken the game in a new direction and give you far more freedom than you've ever had in one of these games in the past. Medal of Honor Airborne releases on September 4th. Go and check it out.